Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Yet Another Railroad Podcast, yet another railroad podcast about all things trains. I'm your host, Will,
And I'm Ben, and I'm joining yet again on this episode.
and we're going to be doing this week all about rail buses and train bus related adjacent things.
So, one of the things that I always find cool about rail buses is in many cases they saved the railroad. Like, we bash on the Pacer and we bash on the Perry People Mover and we bash on all of these things that were not fun to ride on, sure. But at the end of the day, they literally saved the rails that they were riding on from being torn up or being turned into a motorway. Like, this is the last hurrah for many railroads, and the fact that they were able to continue on in many ways is because of these weird little rail buses that we'll be talking about here. And I think that brings me to the first rail bus I wanted to talk about, which is arguably one of the first rail buses ever. And it's one that I'm sure we're all quite familiar with, the Galloping Goose.
Yes, okay, so the Goose, good old Goose. I would say it was the first rail bus ever because rail buses have probably been around since at least the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Quite early on, especially RG1
oh yeah, yes, I guess, yeah, number
or
one was
RGS1.
early. That was early 20s, yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're not wrong. Um, But with the geese, at least, yeah, that was Rio Grande Southern's. Well, I mean, they were the special exception. They had no money to begin with, so
And what
they
was the story with the geese? They were literally just to like make sure that the mail contract could continue.
something like that, if I remember correctly. So their option was, well, let's think of something that would be cheaper to operate than a steam locomotive, passenger cars, freight cars, a caboose, the whole kit and caboodle. The very first one, Goose One, was I think it was like a Ford pickup. I don't remember the exact model. That was their first little. Really, and yes, I think what the purpose was really just to help make sure the mail still got delivered, because
Mhm.
there was many times where it just was not economical for them to run an entire train, but they still had the mail contract to deal with, so that was their alternative.
Well, I was just gonna say what's really interesting to me about the geese is just like how simple they were. Like it's literally basically like a chain hooked to the drive axle of a pickup truck or bus or whatever the model is. And to me that's like crazy that they were able to like basically crank these things out like cheaply, quickly, efficiently, and they lasted a long time. I mean, pretty much all of them are still around.
Number one then spawned two, three, four, five, six, and seven. The basis for all of them originally were like various Pierce Arrow and other like automobile car bodies that they then just grafted like a box on the back of for them to
Mhm.
put mail and bags and other small parcels and stuff into. And then whatever passengers they might have had, they just stuck in the front in the car body. They're very simple vehicles, and from what I understand, also very cantankerous vehicles to operate. But yeah, I mean, it was a significantly cheaper option for them, and I mean, they probably helped extend the life of the railroad a lot longer than it
Oh,
probably
significantly.
would have otherwise lived.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, other than the fact that it was able to haul a bunch of uranium and stuff, or yellowtail or whatever for World War II,
well, that
like that
helped
definitely helped a lot.
a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, no, it's just fascinating that this just this simple little vehicle, and I mean, it's such an iconic vehicle too. You think of classic Colorado narrow gauge railroads, and that's one of the things first thing that comes to mind is the good old Galloping Goose.
Rightfully so. I find really funny is like nowadays we have like this really romanticized view of the goose. Like it's like this kind of like pioneer explorer sort of train. And pretty much everything else we're going to talk about here is does not have that same nostalgia. Not even
That's
close.
that's hilarious. That's funny because no, nothing else does. But even then, really, actually, it's like there's that like that gloss, like I said, there's that glossy nostalgia for them. But having
Mhm.
actually ridden in one, it's not really that great.
No.
S-
But I mean, this is exactly the kind of situation that rail buses are perfect for. Is you have these like super rural areas that can't easily be accessed by any other means. It's able to provide at least a consistent service, if not a perfect or comfortable service. Like this is why rail buses were able to do well, is because they all were in situations kind of like the RGS where you have this line that's otherwise unprofitable to run, and by using what you have available, i.e., rail buses, you're able to continue that service for a little bit longer.
no, very true. Yes, very true. I think most of the examples we're going to be talking about, the original intention was Small branch lines, low patronized services, money losing services, all of that type of thing. There's one exception to that rule that I can think of offhand, and that is the GM Aerotrain from 1955-56. That's the one example where it was not ever intended to be a cost-cutting branch line type thing. It was seen as the train of the future for mainline passenger train service. It didn't
Didn't quite
work.
end up that way. No,
No, God, no, it
not
didn't end
even
up well.
close.
Not even close. So the whole idea was mid 50s. Railroads were already not making money on passenger trains. By that point in time, it was pretty clear that, okay, we need to start doing something about this. And so all the different builders kind of knocked heads and each kind of had their own sort of idea of, hey, who could be the next train of the future? The whole thing with that was lightweight, cheaper to operate, cheaper to produce, but also more efficient.
They're so classy trains too. Like,
I, I mean, they
unlike a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about, like they at least wanted to look, yeah, like you said, the train of the future, and they
Oh,
tried to
100%.
play that role,
I mean, they styled, I
even
mean, at
if
least the locomotive they
successfully.
styled for that thing, well, that's a pretty futuristic looking thing. I mean, it was kind of like this whole thing, ooh, here's what the train might look like in, 2000. They don't. Let's make
I
that
always like
clear.
the windows on those things personally. Like any train that has just like large windows, especially at like the slope there, like oh, perfect.
The locomotive was a custom design thing by EMD.
Hmm.
That part wasn't an issue. It still kind of was, even though it used a lot of parts that, like the motor and the engine and all that stuff was off the shelf stuff, but the package it was squeezed into was not off the shelf. So that kind of
Yeah.
caused some issues, but that's not really the subject here. The cars, though, that's really what the subject here is. So the cars were all GM bus bodies.
Okay.
So think of your like new look, flexible, that kind of style bus. They were essentially that bus body, minus the front and the
Wild.
back end, of course. It was the middle section basically, and so that's what the coaches are made out of, or the basis for them, I should say, was. What they did was, okay, we're gonna use these as the coaches. We'll obviously not fit them with normal bus seats. We'll put nice luxurious seats because they're intended for long distance travel.
Yeah, yeah.
The issue with these cars was that because of them being a bus body, and it's constructed differently than a train car is, they had to use a different suspension system,
Yeah.
and
Oh
so they're
man,
and
I
so they
imagine
use
that would not be very fun to be in.
well, so they used an air suspension system, which was similar to what was used in the buses. That works great in a
Mhm.
bus because those are rubber tire. The tires at least provide some cushioning. Train cars don't run on rubber tires; they run on metal rails running on metal rails. And so that was what they chose as the suspension for the cars. So in doing so, they
Wacky
built
idea.
two train sets that were just demonstrators. They appeared on the scene. I think 55 is when they started building them, but then they first kind of entered service, if you will, because that's kind of
Mhm.
when they kind of completed them in 56. And both sets ended up touring various parts of the country, being tested out on various railroads. One set spent time on like the Pennsy, the other spent time on the New York Central, as well as like the Santa Fe and the Pacific. And 56, 57 was when these roads tested and tried out these train sets. The initial reaction prior to like public testing, all that kind of stuff, people were like, okay, this is an interesting concept. It was cheaper to produce, looked really great, looked cool. I mean, it looks awesome. I'll be honest with you, it's such a cool
Yeah.
looking thing.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
but in testing, it was the complete opposite. Rider reaction was very poor pretty much across the board, and that was because they rode extremely roughly. They were also extremely noisy as well. They did not fit the bill, let's put it that way. And again, these were intended for long distance services, so they were supposed to operate at high speeds. The faster they went, the rougher the ride was.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
they never ended up going into any kind of regular production because, again, after testing on several different railroads, pretty much everybody was like, thank you, but no thank you. These don't cut it. And also, too, the motive power had some mechanical problems, too, which is a whole other thing as well. Both sets ended up getting sold to the Rock Island in 1958, and instead of
Oh boy.
using them in long distance services, they just used them for commuter service out of Chicago.
It's just such a wild commuter train.
It
Like, it's very flashy and flamboyant for what's essentially like a 20-minute commute.
They lasted 8 years in commute service, so They obviously found a niche there
Crazy.
because you don't, I mean, it's commute service. You don't need it to be extremely comfortable. It's, usually it's pretty
Oh no.
quick, short distances, 20, 30 minutes from most people. You're getting on, getting off a couple stops later. It doesn't have to be some ultra comfortable thing.
Mhm.
But I also wonder too, because they use it in commute service, those cars only held like 40 people. That's not exactly efficient for commute service.
Mhm.
And to
Not
my
quite.
knowledge, I don't think they upped the seat count because you couldn't really up the seat count because there wasn't room to do it.
Mhm.
But it's wild that they lasted that long. It really is, honestly. And
It's
at least
crazy.
with these guys, you can still see them. Both of the really futuristic locomotives were saved, and a couple of the cars were saved with them too, which is kind of neat.
When you mentioned Aerotrain, I genuinely did a double take. I didn't understand like quite the history of that thing. I just kind of assumed it was like a train in the future that just ultimately failed. I didn't realize it was essentially a bus on train wheels. Like that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, not the locomotive. The locomotive was completely custom designed, but yeah, the cars were
Yeah, yeah.
GM bus bodies.
So I want to take us across the seas to Germany in the 50s, specifically West Germany, obviously. And I want to talk about the VT95. They made these for many, many years over in Germany, and I freaking love this thing because just look at the windows on it. It basically looks like a Volkswagen bus. It's great. And what's really cool is these things lasted a long freaking time. So they weren't just in Germany. In Germany, they lasted, you'd expect kind of up until the 80s, 90s sort of era, mostly on like private lines and whatnot. But they exported a bunch of these because they were so popular. And some of them you could ride in like Serbia up until 2016. So a train that would have been 65 years old at that point just shows how good German engineering is.
Look at this cute little rail bus.
The thing that I want to mention is Germany's railway system is very, very large and expansive. It's in many ways kind of like the UK's at that time, where you have all these like branch lines that weren't necessarily super profitable, and a lot of that long distance travel was being made more difficult just because of, like the Cold War and whatnot. So they were turning to find different ways to be able to operate the railroad. Deutsche Bahn was, and rail buses were very quickly determined to be a way that they were going to be able to do that. And to some extent, DMUs in Germany have been huge ever since. I mean, a lot of Germany's lines have electrified, which is awesome, but there's still a significant number of branch lines that are fully dieselized. And what's really cool to me is a lot of those are now becoming part of the local S-Bahn systems. So you'll have like these lines that would have been like super rural and very much on the verge of getting closed, like only as recent as the 90s. And nowadays they're part of the more urban like S-Bahn system where you can take like a train from Frankfurt to like some tiny little town as in a consistent schedule. Like to me, that's great. And a lot of those lines were saved because of things like this. And I mentioned the export market. I want to throw on one of my favorites, the 5081, the OBB 5081. And God, just imagine like riding through the Alps, or sorry, not the Alps. Imagine just like riding through like the the mountains, just in one of these things. It would have been so cool.
Well, speaking of branch line saving rail buses, we're going to stay in Europe, but we're going a little further west. We're going to go to England,
Oh yes,
and we're going to talk about everybody's favorite,
the
the Pacer,
140.
the Pacer family.
Oh
So
yes.
much like many other countries in the 70s, mind you, this is we're after the beaching era, so many branch lines already been axed, cut, deleted from the scene. But you still had some lines that were there that weren't making as much as they would have wanted, or really that profitable, or really had much patronage, but they were still deemed relevant enough to keep open. Mind you, British Rail also was really heavy into DMUs and EMUs by this point,
Yes.
and so they were also looking for a new alternative, not only to supplement small branch line services, but also to replace some of the older stock, which some of it had been built in the 50s. And so by the mid to late 70s, we're hitting 20 a year, 20 plus years of some of these vehicles. So they got together with British Leyland, the car maker and bus maker, to develop a series of rail buses. So they first started off with a couple individual single unit vehicles, which they called LEVs, And it was
That's so good.
1, 2, 3, I think it's 4 or 5 of them that
Yeah.
they built just to test, to run them around the country, see, reaction, how they would work. And they were derived from just your standard British Leyland bus body of the time period. And so they test these vehicles all over the country. Two of them, well, actually several of them, actually were sent to other countries. One went to Ireland. One of them toured in various countries in Europe. Three of them came to the U.S. for a number of years. One of them actually stayed here, and that was actually preserved here until 2021, and then it got scrapped.
Mm.
But the rest ended up back in England, except for the Irish one. I think that one is still in Ireland.
I
Um,
believe it is, yeah.
Evidently, they had a successful enough testing that they then developed the 140, which was the prototype Pacer pair. So again,
I love
similar.
the 140 because it's the first of the Pacers that kind of looks like it's still a train. Like it's still trying to look like a DMU. And like as we go through them, they very quickly turned into like nonsense. But the 140 like kind of looks like a 150. Like it's not too weird. It's weird, but it's like you can see that it's trying to be a train.
See, it's funny because I think the 140
Obviously
is
they
one is
dropped
most
that.
bus looking.
Mm. I see it with the doors, especially.
But
Like just the
anyway,
way that the doors are like oriented and whatnot.
I
But
guess.
yeah,
I guess.
it's the front of it specifically to me has just always been like
Oh, I see what you're
there's
saying. Yeah.
something wrong with it. There's something fundamentally wrong with the 140, but it's at least trying to look like a train, like it's a skinwalker train is what it is.
I guess, sure, why not? Okay, single unit has capacity issues, of course, so they turn it into a double, 2 units, which is pretty
Mhm.
typical. And that's what a lot of what their DMUs are like, anyways, 2 units at the bare minimum. And
Yeah.
so, again, that was very similar. They used the same Leyland bus body, um, grafted a new front end on, and made a few tweaks because obviously, it's running on rails, it's not running on roads, and that was what they tested for a little while, for a couple years. Early on, some of the kinks they found were obviously you're using pretty much bus equipment more, which is what they did. They took all the bus electrical equipment and fittings and all that stuff. They're like, this is fine, we'll use this. It wasn't fine because it just could not stand up to rail service. So that was one big thing that
No.
they found.
Especially British rail infrastructure in like the 80s. Like
Yeah,
this is notoriously bad.
yeah. Another thing was that because it's a bus body, the frame and the body are not separated really. So they rode extremely roughly because essentially the body is kind of part of the frame, so the whole thing's just absorbing all the shock.
I love the Pacers. I love them to death, but yeah, I would not want to have that be my daily commute for like every single day. Like I feel that would do severe damage to my spine after about a month.
It took them 2 years to produce the 140. So they started work on it in 79 and then it appeared in 81, which is wild that it took them 2 years to develop this thing, but they did. So at the time, some of the staff that were working on it, you know what they dubbed the thing? They dubbed it the Wonder
Mm.
Bus. I mean, I see where they were coming from because their idea was okay, great, we can make this rail bus that is cheaper to construct, that uses easily mass produced bodies, that are cheaper to run, and can serve on branch lines that have a significantly lesser traffic than maybe other operations do. So I see where they're
Yeah,
coming from. I understand their thought behind it. Obviously, in practice, that was a totally different thing. But nevertheless,
yeah, of course.
the 140, I mean,
It's
it
a smart idea in
yeah, smart
general.
idea. I mean, but however, that said, you're like, okay, well, clearly it did something right, which obviously it did do something right because then that led you to the 141, which was the first kind of production set of Pacers.
And this is when we start getting into like the weird freaking cabs, if you ask me. Like
Yeah, this is when they
I
start getting a little strange looking. So then the
yeah, it's just so bizarre.
so then the 141 goes into production in 1984. So there was a 3 year gap before they actually started producing these things. It was probably the one that looked most like the 140 because it's pretty much shared more or less the same body style, but they actually put more of a cab instead of just a flat front on it. And with the 141, they obviously started making some tweaks and alterations from tests from the 140, of course. They found, well, obviously there's some things we need to change here, including obviously the transmission, the electricals, the suspension,
Yeah.
lots of important things. But they built how many
Yeah.
140? 141 sets did they make? They made 2141 sets, so they made 20 pairs.
Dang,
Um,
it's more than
right?
I expected. They sold the 141s to Iran? Are you serious? Sorry, I'm just looking on the Wikipedia page.
Oh yes, yeah, no, they did.
Really?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
I had
no, they
no idea.
did, which is wild.
Crazy. I
Well,
can't
no,
imagine it would
it looks like most of
become
those were
full over
they were
there.
the 141 sets. They just exported them after BR was done with them.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just would not expect those would run well, like overseas at all.
Right. Then we jump to the next evolution, the 142, which is really, I think, probably the most 142, 143, 144. That's kind of your, when you think of a pacer, that's what you think of. So they took the bus body, they widened it because the original was like essentially just the standard bus body and those pretty narrow vehicles. They
Yeah.
widened it in the 142. They also changed the construction of the body as well, and also continued updating the transmission system, the transmission, the electricals, the suspension, all that. They still continued updating that and tweaking it to try to make it
Mm.
ride a little better. Still didn't, but they tried. Although it was better than like the 140 and the 141. The 142s were better, but they still weren't spectacular. With the 142s, they built 96 pairs of
A lot,
142s.
yeah. Jeez. I mean, for good reason. They basically, in my opinion at least, like saved BR to some extent because it's created one, they didn't have very much like rolling stock at the time. So being able to have this cheap option was huge. And two, you're able to like be able to get out to a lot more rural networks that you weren't easily able to do with the rolling stock that they did have available at that
Oh no,
time.
100%,
Because
absolutely.
I seem like the 150s and whatnot at this time were starting to make their mark.
Yeah, the 150s. Well, what's funny is the 150 was developed alongside the Pacers. So the 150 originally
Yeah.
started as a bus-derived thing.
Hmm.
It started that way. Of course, it didn't end that way, but it started that way. But yes, the 150s,
Interesting.
the Sprinter series were appearing around the same time. In 85 and 86, you get the 143s and 144s. The 143s were again pairs, which were they changed the design a little bit. Again, just improving on the 142s. Um,
Yeah.
and they built only 25 pairs of 143s. And then the 144s, they built 23 pairs of.
Not as iconic. Sorry.
So in total, the Pacer family, those 5 series, they built well over 100 sets. Not only were they economical enough to operate, but they were able to work many of the kinks out as time went on. Of course, the ride quality, they
Yeah.
never really fixed that. I think a lot of
No.
people who experience them in first person will tell you that. They were obviously successful enough that they did not take them out of service until 2021.
Which is crazy. I'm sure they could have kept going if it wasn't for like ADA, or whatever the equivalent is in the UK, like
I
all
will
that
say that
stuff.
was a big thing with that in terms of disability access on them. They were not set up for that, and to try to convert them would be an inordinate expense to do so. And also, mind you, these things were getting on 40 years old, so they were kind of aging out as it is, anyways. As much as people hated them, vast majority of them have been preserved.
Which is awesome to see. I love seeing the pictures of them getting turned into like libraries and stuff like that. It, like, just makes me so happy.
Right? Quite a few sets are still around, and they're used by the heritage lines out there, which is funny. They use
Dang.
them very much in the same manner that VR did back in the day, to use them for off-peak services where they maybe don't have as many people coming to visit. There's one weird derivation of the Pacer family. They did develop a locomotive hold coach.
Of course they did.
Yes, of course they did.
Uh,
And it's literally like
that's
two Pacer bodies glued together, riding on bogies.
so stupid. So stupid. This is tangentially related, but I have to ask: is there a reason why British Rail is so obsessed with two-car designs? Because, like, other than the 153, they're basically all like two cars.
Mostly
Is
two
there
cars.
like a logistical reason for that?
I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I'm sure there probably is. If I had to guess, it's probably a nice compromise because a single unit probably sometimes is not adequate enough,
Hmm.
but a 2 unit is probably enough.
Okay. How many Pacers did you say were built like altogether?
Over 100 pairs.
Okay, because I want to compare that to my next trend, which I want to bring up, which is the Czechoslovak class 152.0, which you can find all over Central Europe still. were 687 of these things made. And to me, that just like highlights, a big thing with communist countries in general is like reliable transportation. Whether or not that was effective or not is a whole different story. But you go to like Moscow, you see the giant subways, you understand like, okay, how people get around is really important to these communities. Um, but the 152, I love how many variants of this thing there are, and I'm gonna throw you just like a couple of them because they look completely random. Because you have some that are like, okay, where's
It
my,
looks like they took
oh
the
my god,
VT-95 and then just tried to reverse engineer it.
yeah, no, it's great. And that's the normal one. That's like the like basic, boring, like who cares one. They'd also like refurbish it to look like this.
What
And
the
then like
hell is
other
that thing?
countries, it's the exact same train. They just changed it up a little bit to make it more modern. Or like if you go to Hungary, you can find it looking like this. Again, same exact train, just doing different things to it. Like this is your communist pacer, and I love this thing. It's great. Here's another one. Here's a Slovak version of it. Looks like a freaking transformer. It's great.
I thought that just was a bus for a second there.
No, these are all the same train too. They've just been refurbished because there were like 600 of these things made. But yeah, communist pacer, and you can see it's a single car design. Like it's about as basic standard as you can get. But because there were so many of them, they're just still rolling the rails today. But I love that Chesky Drahi, they still have like the most original form of it. It's called the Regio Mouse, which is like a great name for it. And it literally it's cute. It looks just like, oh gosh, oh my things are being annoying.
I do like that name, the Regio Mouse. I do like that. Oh,
It's
look!
great.
I always said
Well, because they
I
all,
do like that paint scheme though. That two-tone blue. I
yeah.
do like that.
Yeah, CD is like one of my favorite paint schemes for Central Europe for sure. Them and Obebe, I've always quite liked their paint schemes. Specifically the orange Obebe, like that's so good. Um, but yeah, no, I love my weird communist pacers. They're wonderful. They look like they were probably better quality than like a traditional pacer because they're less bus oriented and a little bit more train oriented. But I'm sure these things are a total pain to ride in because you can see it's still like two axles on the entire train.
Yeah, no, man, I wouldn't doubt that. So rail buses, they've been around since more or less a bus has been around. The rail car, not necessarily the rail bus, the rail car really started appearing in the steam age. In the 1880s, 1890s, you had steam-powered rail cars. But the rail bus, or like something that's more bus derived, really started appearing when a motor-driven bus appeared. And many of the early rail buses in the United States in the 20s were off the shelf, like white motor company or yellow coach bus bodies that were altered a little bit to run on rails.
Mhm.
That's where a lot of it started.
Okay.
All right, so what you? I'm assuming you said you had a couple different European fun nonsense. What
That's
do you
all I
got
wanted to
next?
talk about with communist train. The only other one that I have that's really a train that I want to talk about very briefly is the Perry People Mover, which
Oh,
everybody loves. Everybody
please
loves the
do,
Perry People
please
Mover.
do.
Um, so the Perry People Mover is a train that was supposed to be like the next big thing, and very much was not. Um, they I think made three of them. Yeah, they did not make very many of these trains. Um, and they're basically all located in one branch line in the West Midlands, the Stourbridge Town branch, which is literally just to run between one junction station and one slightly more downtown station. It is a very short branch line. It is only 1.3 kilometers, and it gets this one little train, this one little dinky essentially, that runs between the junction station and the main station. And I adore this thing. It's great. It was never going to be the future. I'm sorry, people thought it was. But it has a special place in all of our hearts, I feel. And whenever you see the friggin' Perry People Mover, like, it just makes my day. It's great.
That thing's hideous. I'm sorry. Like
Oh,
who?
it's cute. Don't bash it. Stop.
No, no,
It's
it's
wonderful.
hideous.
No, it's cute.
Okay, well,
I love the angled windows on it, especially the big old
we can
triangle window right
we
in the
can
front.
agree to disagree on that, I think. I mean,
I wish these would have become more of a thing because I love just my single card DMUs in general. But have you seen the Coventry Very Light Rail?
hold on a minute.
Hang
No,
on.
what is this?
There we go. There's your Coventry Very Light Rail. The
What the
thing's
hell is
even
that
more
thing?
ridiculous. This doesn't exist yet. This is like a planned thing. But they're planning essentially another kind of Perry People's Mover sort of thing up in Coventry, which
That looks
uh,
even
just
worse.
outside of Birmingham. Yeah, it's great. It's even worse. But yeah, it's supposed to be kind of this reinvention of the Coventry tramways that they're doing. Um, and it'll hopefully get funded and it'll hopefully be built. But we'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. But yeah, they have the prototype built and it looks wonderful. I love it.
I mean, that is like, if you told me that was bus derived, I would believe you because it just looks like a bus.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. So,
But anyway, sorry. That's enough. I want to talk about the freaking Perry people mover. Do you have any other U.S. based trains
not, I
before
mean,
or
not
rail buses
really.
before
I
I go
mean,
into the nuts shit?
we talked about the early days. We went over the goose, of course. We talked about the Aerotrain. It's funny. I can't say there was ever really like a let's do a bus body based thing. That we never really did that here. Because then
Yeah.
again, we're significantly more car centric
Yes.
country, so that was never really
Yeah.
thought of as being an option here.
I mean, the RDC kind of filled a lot of those voids, I feel,
Yeah, but
and
that's not a
like
bus. To call
RD,
that's
it's
offensive to
not a
call that
bus.
thing a bus train. Okay.
It's not. It's not. But I'm just saying that was able to fill a lot of the needs that your bus-based trains were required to have.
Well, fair. I mean,
Because
that's the general point of a diesel rail car or an electric
yeah,
multiple unit to begin
I
with.
mean,
But
hey, when the Western Pacific is using their RDCs exclusively to power their Zephyr service, like that's how you know it's basically a rail bus at that point.
well, yeah, it's not wrong.
I love my RDCs. I'm sorry. I apologize to any RDC enthusiasts who I've offended.
Yeah,
Well, if that's all
this
you
one
had
right
for
here.
American stuff, I want to quickly talk about the kind of opposite sort of thing, which are Adelaide Oban, which is technically so the way that these things work. Like you look at the tracks, they're not real train tracks. They're basically these concrete like rail tracks that they've made. And the whole purpose is basically getting the bus from downtown Adelaide out to like the suburbs as fast as possible without being on the roads. And it is literally a normal bus. There's nothing too crazy about it, except it literally just locks into the system to help it kind of like guide along this path here. So that I just wanted to briefly mention. But the other one that more people are probably thinking of is Japan's DMVs, their dual mode vehicles. And this thing is a gimmick. I'm sorry. I don't see why this is useful. It's more of like a cultural thing, I think, genuinely, because like if you go to a place that has these, you will find like lots of merchandise surrounding the DMV. Um, but basically, what these things are is you have a lot of railroads in Japan that are underutilized, and one of the ways that they found to reutilize those systems is having kind of like a last mile sort of transit option where you have a bus that runs on those rails and they're real train lines, and then it detaches the train wheels and it has these just normal bus wheels, and it's able to do the last mile commute in whatever town it needs to do section in. So, like I said, I genuinely think these things are a gimmick because there's no problems here that just a normal bus wouldn't be able to solve. But you can't deny they're freaking cool. I'm sorry, I love the DMV.
I mean, that is the literal definition of a bus train. It literally is a bus train.
That's great. It can do both. It can, and a lot of I forgot neglected to mention this. A lot of the rail lines that DMVs run on are elevated, so that they're able to kind of bypass a lot of traffic. They're able to even go through like tunnels and stuff like that on certain lines. So it's definitely a more direct route, but in general, the costs that are associated with like the maintenance of having to like have a rail wheel on your bus I do not think justifies the cost of this entire thing compared to just riding the bus like normally, which is why I've kind of stated this is kind of more of a gimmicky thing, but it's still freaking cool.
I
And
was gonna
I
say, because like
appreciate JR for doing stuff like this.
I see where they're coming from. I see where they're coming from because you can run on rails, you can avoid the congestion of, especially if you're running it. I feel like this is for more rural services though, so like the congestion thing that I don't feel like
Ish, yeah,
applies quite as well because like if it was like
yeah.
a congested city center, I could see that would make a
You
lot of
just have the
sense because
train
you're
working, yeah,
avoiding, but then you just have the train at that point in time.
yeah.
Okay, so now I see what you're
So
saying.
yeah,
That seems
it is
kind of
more rural.
gimmicky.
It
I
is
just
generally
worked
more
myself out of my logic there. I was like, wait, hold on.
rural.
So now I see what you mean there by that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
no, you're good. But yeah, I don't personally think these things are super effective. I feel at a certain point it's you have to pick one or the other. And I don't think having a bus that becomes a train for 2 minutes and then just becomes a bus again is a particularly valuable experience other than just for like the tourists. And it is a cool thing. Like it's a cool thing to say, hey, I got on a bus and I got to watch this whole process as it literally became a train. Like that's I'd love to do that. Um, but as a
Yeah.
reliable public transit option, I think there are better ways to go about doing this, like just building a bus rapid transit system.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Adelaide, their way of doing it, I think, is a little bit smarter because it's at least completely grade separated. I mean, not saying that the DMV isn't grade separated as well, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit more efficient when you have a larger bus. It is essentially a bus rapid transit just with extra steps.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously building a train would be the better option of both of these, and that's why we do this podcast.
Well, that's what I got. So I think that's a nice brief little look at the bus-derived train or the train-derived
Yeah,
bus. Either one of those terms works really for these most of these vehicles.
yeah.
Well, let's see here. News. News. Any new news?
News.
Well,
Mm,
Big Boy Fever has swept the nation,
oh yes,
and I'll be honest with you,
4014 making it to the East Coast.
I don't care.
Yeah, same. Not my thing this time around. Sorry.
Not really. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, it just seems like they're just trying to shill the merger.
Yeah,
It's just like,
fortunately.
yeah. It's just
Yeah,
like,
it's hard to watch it with like that hindsight. I think for people in the East Coast, it is like cool because
oh,
the Big
sure.
Boy is not something that you can just drive 80 miles and go see.
I guess sure, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not as enthusiastic about that. What I am enthusiastic about is all of the freaking 250 paint schemes. Well, not all of them. There's some I despise, but there's a couple that are really good.
There are some really neat ones actually. I like BNSFs because it's a nice homage to the Santa Fe one.
Yes, that
I
one's
think
really nice. I
I don't
approve.
look that
I
one looks
approve of
really
that.
classy. I think that one looks really, really good.
Have you seen the Wheeling and Lake Erie
That
one?
one looks great too. That's a really nice
That's
one
my
as well.
actual favorite.
That's a very
Yeah,
nice one as well.
with the
Um,
1776 and the stars,
you
and
want
you
to know
still have the gold of the Wheeling and Lake Erie. It's so
you
good.
want to know what one isn't nice?
Hmm.
Have you seen the Aberdeen, Carolina and Western one, right?
I have not. Hang on.
Oh, just hold on a
Oh
second.
no,
Hold on a
Aberdeen,
second.
Carolina. Yeah, please send it to me because I need to have a reaction here.
You know, words cannot describe. Okay.
I'm terrified. Oh my god, yeah, I have seen this. I have seen this.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is
This is the
bad.
laziest thing ever. Like, it's not
I
even like
I've
red,
I
white, or
saw it and I
blue.
genuinely thought it was like a shit post or something. I'm like, there's no way this
Oh, I
isn't
think
just like
everybody
a
did it first. Every thought there was
lazy
like
editing.
yeah, exactly. It's some goofy edit, but no, it's legit. And it's like,
Um,
who took 5 minutes, threw some images in an AI generator, because that's what they did, slapped them on
yeah,
the
yeah,
side
yeah.
and called it a day. Like, come on.
I'm
Like,
sure this is expensive to paint is the really funny thing. Like, I'm sure that was not cheap to do. Oh, unless they're just stickers. In which case, that's still probably expensive.
who cares? It looks
It
so
looks ugly.
tacky.
Yeah, yeah,
It looks so
yeah.
bad.
This is the worst paint scheme since J.R.R. Martin's Railroad, like
I mean,
easily is.
if they at least like the base color is green and yellow, like they could at least have the base be like white or blue or red,
Yeah,
something,
yeah, something
keeping in
America
theme. But it's like
250.
the base color is green and yellow.
Yeah. What other trains are look okay?
It's so lazy.
What are the other
So,
ones that I
so I
really
do like how
like?
we have the total contrast here. We have, BNSF and like Wheeling Lake Erie's ones, which look
Yeah.
excellent, superb, beautiful, and then this garbage.
Canadian National. Theirs is actually probably my
CN
favorite.
did a very good job on theirs as well,
Yeah.
and they did a couple. They have the
Theirs is
two. They have one with
really
the eagle
good.
on the front, but then they have the one that's got more like just the stripes. I like the stripes a little better, I think,
That's fair.
but they
I
put
like the
but
Eagle a
they
little
put
bit
effort
more.
into it.
Yeah, they look freaking awesome.
I think they look great, which is funny that
I'm sure North also did a good one too.
what's really
Sorry.
funny is that a Canadian railroad did a better job than
Most U.S. railroads.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of ironic.
Uh, yeah. NJ Transits is like okay, but just seeing all the red on a Bombardier locomotive just makes me, or whatever the tracks or whatever, it just makes me think of Deutsche Bahn.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
it's
I
okay.
can't see
Yeah, that
that
one's
front and
okay.
not see a
That
101.
one, if we were doing a tier list of these, that would be like mid. It's not the worst, but
No, it's not the
it's not
worst.
amazing either.
No, I
Who else
like
has a really
five.
nice one?
I like 611's
I
250
love
painting.
okay, so I love the one Long Island did. Let me send you a
Oh, I haven't
picture of
seen
it.
that
I
one
love the
yet.
Long
Yeah, yeah,
Island one
please.
because it harkens back to their 1976, which it is. It's their 1976
Oh,
scheme. So
yeah,
I
I
love
like
the Long
that.
Island one is great. I love the Long
I
Island
like
one.
that a lot. Yeah, that one's really good. I don't like the 250 logo like duplicated on the front that much.
Yeah, that kind
Um,
of ruins, that kind of throws it off a
the
little
Long
bit,
Island on
but
the side
but
like
I
makes
but
up
it's
for it.
it's literally just a duplication of their 1976 scheme. It looks great. I think that one looks
Yeah.
great. But
No, no, theirs is fine. I like the NYSW, their version, just
oh, the
doing what
Susquehanna one.
CSX did. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
Where is
Because
it?
it's oh, I'll show you. I'll show you. Hang on.
That one's not coming to mind right now. Let me look. Another one that's
NY.
kind of interesting. Have you seen Florida East Coast one?
Ooh, no, I haven't.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't. It's a weird combo of their current paint scheme plus a kind of a flag sort of looking thing.
Ooh, yeah, I'm not sure I feel about that. I like it except for ironically, the FEC stuff at the front, but I also just don't like the current FEC scheme. I'm
See,
sorry.
I love the current FEC scheme, but we're not gonna go there. Um,
Yeah, sorry. Teach their own. Here's the Susquehanna one that I was mentioning. It's basically the CSX version of
oh yeah. See,
Centennial unit.
I
I'm
don't
not a
know. I
huge
don't.
fan.
Yeah, I'm not really sold on
I
that
like
one.
the logo in the front.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a neat touch, but I'm not really sold on that one. That one
Yeah,
that doesn't really do it for me. I'm like,
no, I agree.
what's another? Oh, the Morristown and Erie one. That one's kind of neat too, actually.
I've seen that one.
It's another simple
Oh
one,
yeah,
but I think it looks good.
yeah, that just looks solid. I mean, yeah, any switcher I'm sure is gonna look wonderful. Like that's kind of hard to screw up. I like the simple like the blue across the entire bottom there. Like
Yeah,
that
like
just
I
is
like it because
wonderful.
it's simple, but it looks good. It's kind of like, you know what it looks like? It reminds
Hmm.
me of the Southern paint scheme if you swap the black out for red.
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
Okay,
But
the other
yeah,
one I love,
that's
the other
rough.
one I love that I think is kind of
Mm-hmm.
neat is the MBTA unit
Seen that.
because they just
Actually, I
copied
maybe haven't. I've just forgotten it.
they just copied one of the Conrail ones from 1976 is all they did.
Ah, I love that. That's great. No, that looks really good. I
Yeah, they
especially like the entire MBTA, Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority,
is
written
spelled
in
out completely.
freaking yeah, in the freaking Declaration of Independence font. Looks great. Looks totally wonderful.
Yeah, and that's literally
Yeah,
just a
that's
copy of one of the schemes Conrail did in '76.
the front is objectively hideous. I'm sorry, but I still love it.
Again, it's
Makes
like I said, it's a
makes my little
copy of a
heart happy.
Conrail one, so
Yeah, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It gets bonus points for that.
get bonus points for copying Conrail, everybody's
Short
favorite.
line two
I'm trying to think, is there any
fifty
other ones that are worth
livery.
mentioning that are at least kind of cool? Um, I'll say there is one we didn't mention. I don't think we need to mention it because
BPJC.
it's not worth mentioning.
Can we mention it really quickly so I'm not totally out of the loop? You can say like the first two letters of it.
Oh, it's, for everybody's favorite railroad right now.
Oh, that one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
No,
one.
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one's absolute doggo. Sorry, not a fan.
Yeah, no, man, we're not even. That's straight into the trash bin with that one.
Ooh, East Penn Railroad. Theirs is cool.
And it's funny. What I've noticed is that a lot of your like the small regionals and short lines, theirs have been
Yeah,
cooler than the Class 1 units.
here's the one I just caught.
That's classy. That's
Like
great. That's
that
great.
looks
That looks great.
really classy.
That looks
Like you
excellent.
don't need it to be too fancy. It's like
No,
it brings me back to like the freaking what was that? The Boston, Massachusetts, like 250. Is that
yeah,
what I'm
like the
thinking of?
Boston and Maine one or something. Yeah, like that looks
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Or Boston,
That
Maine. That's yeah,
like
sorry.
that looks excellent. Like that's what I was saying. Like I feel like a lot of the short lines have done a better job because a lot of them have not done something that's wild and flashy. It's just been a really nice color combo that looks really good. That looks beautiful.
Yeah, so good. As opposed to just like a weird gradient or like just trying to go too extra. Like BNSF, I think is probably the best of the like U.S. based class ones.
I would say
Although I
yes.
still think Canadian Nationals better, but that's just me being me. I miss the freaking stars on the CN logo. It looks so good. I'm sorry. Yeah, I gotta pull this up just so you see what I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking
The,
about.
put the freaking stars on the CN logo. It looks so good. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so classy. I love it. It's just
it's a neat
perfect.
touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. I feel like I feel like a lot of the class ones tried too hard,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
but then a lot of the short lines like we'll make something nice. We don't need to go too
Yeah.
wild with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then you get the real classy ones like the Wheeling and Lake Erie one or the East Penn one. You get like those really good looking ones. They're like that. Like that looks great.
Well, here's another fun one. Sorry, I have to throw this on here. Delaware and Lackawanna.
That's another great one. I love that one
That one's so
because that's
good.
so that one is what the Delaware and Hudson's one looked like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that looks great. That's another
Uh,
one I was gonna bring that one up too. That's another good looking one.
yeah, the stripe on there. It's like such Delaware and Hudson, but it works so well. It just makes me happy. And the fact that they chose like an older unit to do it on too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, no,
everything about that's perfect.
that's another real good looking one. Oh, another nice looking one is
Oh,
Pennsylvania and Southern. Theirs is kind of akin to the East Penn one. Pretty simple,
I like that a lot too.
but still looks good. I,
I still get the ick a little bit with like the stars in the circle, but like just for
yeah,
like modern context, but it
yeah,
looks objectively good.
yeah.
And I like the
Otherwise, it's
Ben
good
Franklin
looking.
in cursive on the top. Like, yeah, that's objectively a good one.
Metro did one too.
Really?
Yeah, Metro did one. Hold on, let me find the image. Here comes Metros.
Oh my god! And they did it on one of the mocks. Actually, love it. But they chose absolutely the wrong train to do that on.
It's a little too busy, I think. Like,
Why? Why? Why do it on the fucking MACH? It's ridiculous. There's
choices.
so much going on. They should have called it City of America. Good.
Yeah, there's definitely some
City
choices.
of United States. Yeah, that'd have been so good.
Oh, you want to know another
Sorry.
really good one?
What's another really good
I
one? Then I'll
forgot
send
about
you
this
another
one,
really good
and
one.
just memory Nevada Northern's SD9.
Although, yeah, that's objectively good. That one's yeah. It gives me like kind of like Fallout vibes a little bit, especially like the stars in that area.
Yeah, that's
And I
another
like the
really nice
little
one.
Nevada logo on there. I actually pulled up one of your favorites. You were telling me earlier that this is actually your favorite one that exists. It's the Grand Central one, the Grand
No,
Canyon one.
I hate that.
Yeah, that
That's
one's really
ugly.
nice. They did a
No,
really good job on that.
that's
Oh,
terrible.
yeah. So
it's
bad.
it's not as bad as the AC and W one. Like there's nothing like no, there's one that
How
is worse
dare
than
you
that.
compare an
But the
F-42
AC and
like
W one's
that?
horrendous. That is pretty close. Um,
I love the Grand Canyon and just all
like
these like shitty
no
JPEG
joke.
fireworks.
The JPEG fireworks and the Grand Canyon little segment is giving me vibes of like something you would spray paint on the side of an RV.
It's ridiculous. I love it. I appreciate that the flag at least has like subtle shading and doesn't look like complete ass, but like everything else is just complete ass. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. I suppose that's fair.
I'm surprised that they didn't do the Big Boy in an America 250 scheme. That would have been cool.
Would it though?
So the entire thing in red, white, and blue would be great. They didn't do that.
Sure, I guess, whatever.
Looking to see what other if I've missed any. I think those are all the big ones that I like.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that have kind of come across that like were worth mentioning or looking at, but I think yeah, for the most part, I think
Brightline had a cool one. You
I
should
mean,
catch Brightlines.
Brightline had. Wait, what?
Yeah, they had one. Hang on. This flew under my radar until about 10 seconds ago, but I'm not. I don't like. I don't like love this one, but just to like show you, it's all these like little things of American history, like little vignettes and pictures and whatnot to a very nice red, white, and blue paint scheme. So they're in like
Oh,
entire
I
train
see
sets.
what you're talking about. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. This gives me
yeah, I think that looks classy.
this gives me vibes of like some of the raps they would do on like some like English services.
Yeah,
That's what that vibe is. So I'm actually okay with that.
yeah, it very definitely feels very GBR.
It gives
Not that
me
that's a bad thing.
some very like when they would rap stuff over in England. That's what that gives me is that kind of vibe. So
Yeah,
and they're not like hideous either. And how can we forget to mention this?
oh
But of
no,
course,
that's
it's
great.
everybody's favorite. It's just Phase 7. Um,
Yeah, I can't get much more America 250 than that.
it's just Phase
So
7.
Amtrak Joe, what a great livery.
That doesn't,
What a
I don't
great
mind
livery.
7.
Seven's fine. Whenever I see it in like person, it looks really cool. I really like the. I didn't like him originally, but this Superliners in Phase 7, I'm starting to
I don't think they
grow
look
on me a
bad.
little bit.
I don't
I
think they
still
look
think
bad
they
at
just need
all.
to get rid of the Superliners, but like they still look nice in Phase 7.
Okay, hold on. I did find one. I want your opinion on this one, actually.
Hmm,
I've just
hmm.
found one that I think is worthy of showing for an opinion.
Um. Wow. I. Uh,
So,
mm,
sorry, folks. So, for context, folks, the one
uh,
we just pulled up is what road is this? It's one of the Genesee and Wyoming companies.
yeah, yeah, it's one of
It's
the Genesee and
Genesee and
Wyoming.
Wyoming related. That's all you really need to know.
CSO.
Um, but interesting choice.
Connecticut Southern is what that is.
I mean, it's
Um,
still better than the AC&W one.
I
Well,
will agree with that.
I,
I, the blue is like what's my issue. Like it's a very Conrail blue,
no, that's
like
that's too
very
light to be a
Conrail blue.
Conrail blue.
I, I, d- I don't hate it. I'm giving it like a 2 out of 10 though.
Okay, fair enough.
It's yeah. I'm sorry that the blue and that yellow don't work for me. It just feels like it's trying really hard to be Conrail.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Well, I think we could probably wrap this one up. I think that'll probably do it for this episode, unless you have anything else to add.
No, that's about it for me.
Alrighty, well, thank you all for tuning in again on this one. We'll catch you next time. Seems about we're doing about once a month right now, so we'll probably see you next month
Yeah.
sometime. But we will have some additional stuff we'll probably throw up on the channel, just some fun little goofy extras. So be on the lookout for those
Yeah.
too. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Yep. Thanks for listening. Have a good one. Bye bye.